Good evening and welcome to Dan Taylor of the latest British metal band to be breaking big, Dead Romantic. And believe me, these guys are going to be huge.
Yo, cheers for having me on, mate.
Dan, welcome to Metal Planet Music. And we're looking forward to having a good chat with you about how things have been since you guys formed, as being a relatively new band, and what's coming up for you in the forthcoming weeks and months.
Yeah. Let's hash it out.
Right. Until about a week ago, when your PR Wes, a good mate of mine, mentioned you, I hadn't heard of you, but your figures for what is a relatively new project are huge. 11,000 Facebook likes, millions of views on videos on YouTube. Wow, I must have been under a stone.
Yeah, well, I think it's just like since we started releasing, people have really sort of, I don't know, latched on, I suppose. The videos, there was a really good response to the videos, and on Spotify as well. We've had quite a few people get involved, start listening and stuff. So I mean, it's kind of overwhelming, really, but it's awesome. It's great. The response that's for a band that's been around for such a short period of time, the response has been great.
Yeah, I mean, what was the first single, Yesterday? It's got a lovely sort of noir angst about it all, and that snow-covered, is that Yorkshire landscape?
I'd love to claim it for Yorkshire, but actually it's Derbyshire. Just Derbyshire.
Yeah.
So the mountain that we were on, well, I say mountain, it felt like a mountain when we were climbing it, but that's Bamford Edge in Derbyshire. And then the sort of abbey that we were at, that's at I can't remember what it's called, but that was in Yorkshire. It begins with R. I can't remember the exact name of it, but yeah, it was a really cool vibe of the video that we got out of it. And we were really praying for the snow, so much so that we were contemplating hiring a snow machine, and then it ended up like 2 days before the shoot, it absolutely hammered down with snow. So we were like, get in.
An absolute result.
Yeah.
And from that, the stars align, haven't they? I mean, it's been quite a whirlwind sort of 12 months for you guys since formation.
Yeah. It's we've like I say, we've racked up a fair few views on the videos and a fair few plays on Spotify, and people, like I say, have really responded to what we've put out so far. And we sort of decided to go down the route of just sort of releasing singles quite sort of in succession, and it seems to have paid off, I guess, because people are sort of, it almost seems like because they heard the last one, they then are looking forward to the next one, and then when it comes out, we sort of get a decent response to it.
Yeah, sort of like an organic momentum, which now you guys are going to be coming into 22, you've got gigs planned. That's just going to keep that momentum rolling even faster, surely.
Yeah. I mean, well, and fingers crossed. It's like we have all this sort of online presence and stuff, which is great. But we haven't played many shows yet. So we're hoping that now we can actually get out. We can play some shows. We've got a few festival dates coming up this year. We've got Sound Bay Festival in towards the end of the year. We're playing Purgatory Festival in Chesterfield in a couple of months. There's Hughes Festival in Lichfield we're playing as well. So there's a few. So we're hoping that we can sort of do the songs justice, and really that's why all those guys are in there rehearsing right now. I've just popped out to talk to you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I mean, there's a lot of power, there's a lot of angst. Are the lyrics coming from a personal perspective?
Yeah, definitely. I think the best songs, that's how they work. It's like, how do you can't really put any kind of emotion or passion or whatever into something that you don't believe in. So the best kind of songs, I mean, that's probably why Adele writes bangers, because she's been through a lot.
You're far more cheerful.
Yeah. But no, it's so it all comes from sort of personal experience, personal sort of thoughts and feelings, and put it together in a little sort of story and package it nicely, stick some melody on it, and it sounds pretty good. But it's definitely something that I sort of need to have, really. You know, like when you're performing a song, you kind of have to agree with what you're saying. You can't sing stuff that you don't feel. So, or at least not with the kind of energy or passion or whatever, like you say.
Yeah, there's a real dynamic, kinetic there in those videos, and I really hope when we get to see you guys live that transposes to on stage. Got a feeling it will.
Oh yeah, definitely. We're all sort of, we all really enjoy a good performance. So I mean, I'm sort of around like a maniac on stage. In fact, the last show that we played, I managed to find a girder that I could hang from the ceiling from. So it's there's energy, if nothing else.
What was it Lemmy once said? You don't go to a gig to see the guy next door, you go to see a fucking alien.
Exactly.
You know, we don't want ordinary when we're stood there in the arena watching a band. And I just get this vibe that you guys are going to bring something very different to that stage.
Yeah, we definitely try to. We definitely try and make it a real spectacle, I suppose. We plan the set out pretty strategically and sort of figure out what we're going to do. And I have things in mind. Like as soon as I see a stage, I go, oh, there's a bit there I can get on there, or there's something there, we can do that. But I suppose even without that, it's like we all love the songs, we all love the music, and we all sort of vibe to it. So it makes you want to move. The kind of music that we're doing, it makes you want to throw yourself around, it makes you want to move, makes you want to jump around. So that's what we do.
Cool. Can you tell us a bit about how you came to hook up with this Mike Compress, a multi-million selling producer?
Yeah, basically it was a bit of good fortune, I suppose. So when lockdown happened, I were in like a cover band at that point, and we just played a couple of shows before everything locked down. And I think I was sat at home one day because I couldn't do what else, and I got a message through on Facebook, and it was on a video it was a video of us performing. Like I was singing some, I don't know, Zeppelin or something Mike says, but I can't remember what it was. And he messaged it like, oh, my name's Mike, who's this singer? And it was my wife actually messaged him back saying, oh, his name's Dan Taylor. And then he messaged me on Facebook, private messaged me, and was like, oh, I'm Mike, I've done this, I've done that, I'm a producer, blah blah blah. And I was like, fuck off.
Yeah, right. Rap shit as long as his arm. Yeah.
Yeah, this is just some dude who's trying to like lure me into his basement or something. So I ended up like, I just spoke to him for a little while, and then I went and met him at his house, and he was obviously a real dude, and we got on really well. And he was like, oh, do you want to start writing some songs? And I was like, yeah, let's give it a bash. Wrote a few songs, they were crap, and then we just sort of stumbled on something, and it was like, it sort of grew into the sound that Dead Romantic is, and we really liked it, and sort of pursued it and persevered with it, and we ended up with the collection of songs that will be the album, plus whatever else we decide to add before it fully comes out.
Yeah, because you've got the material, you're then looking for a band name, and I just feel that you've chosen really good. It's got that, I've used the word already, noir sort of lyrical sort of feel to it. Dead Romantic, it summons up poets like Coleridge and Wordsworth.
Yeah. It's fancy. It's I can't remember the term for it, but it's a double meaning. It almost means two opposite things. Yeah.
Almost like
for someone who writes lyrics, I'm fucking good with words, isn't it?
You ought to see my notes on reviews. They're nothing like what I put online. So it's got two contradictory meanings, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's simple, yet it's got a depth. And this is what I'm liking about what I've very briefly touched into with these songs, like Kiss with a Knife, sorry. A Lie, sorry.
It's a lie,
yeah. And it's like, there's a resonance. People can relate to that.
Yeah. That song really sort of spoke to me. It was actually Mike came up with the title one time. He was like, oh, I've heard this sort of saying. It's I'd rather be. I think it was slightly different. It was something like I'd rather be hit with the truth than kissed with a lie, or something like that. And we changed it to step with the truth just because it had a bit more sort of gravitas or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, we really like the concept, and it's something that really sort of resonated, because it's like sometimes you don't want to just have your feelings saved. Like, you don't want someone to sort of bullshit you just so that to try and make you feel better. You just want them to say what they need to say. Maybe it'll hurt me, but yeah, let's get it out in the open. Let's get it over with and let's move on.
Get it sorted, and then, as you say, you drive forward.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what being a good person, a good human being is about, surely.
Yeah, definitely.
So you've had the 5 singles. The latest one's just hit the airwaves now, isn't it? All Talk.
Yeah.
Tell us about that, please.
So All Talk is something that we it was one of the early ones, and it came out sort of a little sort of soft release kind of teaser before we ever even released Yesterday. But then as we continued to write, everything got sort of better, I suppose. We took another look at it and revamped it, and it's all the better for it. And it sort of includes some of the poppy kind of side of the influences that we have, with the sort of first verse where it's a little bit more mellow, a little bit sort of vibey, and then kicks in with the heavy sort of chunky guitar kind of vibe that sort of gets the anger out there. And basically the song's about just so it's like, I'm not like everybody else. I'm not going to lie to you. And if you just give me a chance, I'll prove that to you.
Cool. Yeah.
That's
being oneself and being true to oneself, in effect.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
That's superb. You've gone through a few lineup changes since formation, with obviously Mike and your good self at the nucleus. Do you see where you are currently being more settled now to drive forward?
Definitely. I mean, I think the reason why we've had I'm not going to say so many, it's not like we've had thousands, but we've had a few people sort of come in and out, is because in a band you have to be a unit, and nothing against any individual, but sometimes that unit just doesn't quite fit, and it's just not quite right. And if it's not right, then it's like a relationship, innit? If it's not right, then it's not worth being in, or it's not going to work. So you just have to sort of call it what it is. But this sort of lineup that we've got going on at the minute is really gelling, and it's great. And I feel like we've sort of found the missing pieces, as it were. So we've had Alice coming on bass, and with Sam there now, and it's really come together.
That's cool. Who's playing the drums for you?
At the minute, we're still using session people at this point, but we feel that it's gonna click real soon. There's stuff going on that seems really good, but I'll keep you guessing on that one for now.
Fingers crossed for you. Fingers crossed. Yeah. Was that part of the reason why the February tour didn't materialize as it was planned?
No, that was literally out of our control entirely. So I think it was down to venues, promoters, booking agents, people like that, who were seeing a lot of uncertainty from the crowds that were actually turning up to a show versus the people who were buying tickets, and also people who were still unnerved by the whole COVID situation and weren't buying tickets. A lot of small shows suffered from that. I think certainly in the first few months after everything opened up again, the only thing that I think was really selling out was the big shows, the arenas and all that sort of stuff. So
and the smaller festivals.
Yeah. So it was just because I think of the uncertainty around who was actually like, oh, we've sold this many tickets, but are those people going to turn up? And then is it worth the promoter putting that on, or the venue taking that show, or whatever? It just ended up not being right. So we sort of were like, okay. I mean, we didn't really get much say in the grand scheme of it. But we're looking forward to getting out now, and we have obviously these festival dates coming up that we're really looking forward to playing, and then hopefully we'll be on the road on a full UK tour very soon.
Awesome stuff. So what you've talked about the lyrics and how they're personally resonant. What sort of bands do you draw from as influences?
I mean, everywhere. I think our influences come from all over the place. I mean, Mike's kind of an old school, like, hair metal guy. He's into all that sort of stuff. But then obviously he's worked a lot in pop, so he has a lot of that influence as well. It'd be hard to not pick that up when you've worked in it for those years. Me personally, I grew up listening to, like, wow, to be fair, it's so varied. It's like I went through phases where it was all just like metal, like death metal and all that sort of stuff, like bands like Eternal Lord and Clone the Fragile and all that sort of stuff. But then I suppose where the main influences for me come from are bands like Taking Back Sunday and Brand New and like the kind of, I don't know what you'd really call it. I suppose most people would call it emo.
Yeah, something I don't really know a vast amount about, I'm afraid.
Yeah, no, it's I mean, each to their own, innit? But yeah, but I sort of Linkin Park and Papa Roach and all those kind of bands, like the new metal kind of thing. I went through that whole era as well. So that's where a lot of my influences come from. But at the same time, like I say, I'll sit and listen to Adele, or I'll sit and listen to, like, Tom York and Radiohead and like David Bowie. I'm a massive David Bowie fan. So I think it's good to have your influences come from so many different angles, because then you can sort of pick the best parts of those things and try and use them.
What I've sensed in the 5 tracks I've listened to in a very short space of time is that you're driving towards a new dynamic, a sound. You don't want to be the next someone. You want to be the first Dead Romantic.
I mean, in an ideal world, that's what it'll be. But to be fair, we've been likened to quite a few bands, and I mean, I can't remember them all, but I'd be happy to be compared to bands that I like.
Yes,
they're great bands. But like you say, in an ideal world, we will be the first Dead Romantic, and then people compare other people to us in future. That'd be nice.
Yeah, that would be fantastic, wouldn't it? I mean, we're sat there this evening, and the missus and I looked at one and went, there's a touch of evanescence about you. That sort of creeping down, the vocals going up and down, the shades of dark and light, but with a male voice. What a neat twist.
I'll take that. Great band.
Yeah, phenomenal, man. I just, I've just been blown away by the material you guys have produced and how I've not connected with you before. I'm just really looking forward to what it's the next coming from you.
Yeah, well, we've got a few singles in the pipeline. We've got I think at least 2 releases in the pipeline before the end of the year, we hope, all being well. And then we want to get the full album out before the end of the year. We're hoping summer release. We've had to push it back a few times just based on, I mean, various reasons, but one of the main ones was that when you release an album, you want to tour it.
For sure.
And that was an impossibility at the time. So we kept sort of pushing it back, and it got tedious, but there's no need to put an album out when you can't go out and sort of play it for people. It'd just be, especially because we're such a young band, and there'd only be a certain amount of people that would even pick it up. So if we can get out and tour it and play it for people and play these festival shows and then release the album, hopefully in the summer, we'll do that.
Because it was originally scheduled for release last summer, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. It was. And then the world fell apart again.
It certainly did that. But you've got, I admire you because you seem to have a very clever, a very logical strategy to how you're going to develop this band. Mike, yourself, Alice, Sam.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is kind of strategic, releasing the singles and stuff, and trying to keep. We've obviously got I won't say a formula because that sounds a little bit too scientific. There's obviously an artist kind of perspective to it, and we do what we feel is right, and we do what we feel like creatively sounds like we want it to sound. But in terms of the release schedule and stuff, it has been a bit strategic. And I mean, hopefully it's worked. Maybe people hate us for it, but it seems to have worked. We seem to have picked up some listeners and stuff, so it's all good.
Yeah, I mean, you're certainly grabbing the attention of people in the industry, and bit by bit you'll hit sites like us and then move on to bigger things with, say, Planet Rock. You're already knocked down the door at Kerrang Radio for certain, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, we had a fair few plays. We ended up with a top 20 single on Kerrang Radio and a top 20 single on Kerrang Radio, a top 20 single on Kerrang TV, and then a top 10 single on Kerrang TV as well. Like sort of in the most played categories on Kerrang, which is awesome. I mean, they obviously appreciate it. So, I mean, thanks a lot, Kerrang.
Absolutely. You know, you've got the single out now, All Talk, which we've covered and we love. You got the Spring Apocalypse, haven't you, coming this weekend?
Yeah. So on Saturday we're playing Southampton. So if you live in Southampton and it's not Saturday yet, then come see us.
Yeah, I mean, we'd love to, but unfortunately I'm out driving a van for a band this weekend.
Oh.
But Southampton's a great city. Got a lot of good mates down there, and it's a place that seems to be very passionate about its rock and metal.
That's good. That's what we like. There's so many good scenes in like sort of certain towns in the UK. There used to be a massive metal scene in Barnsley, which is where I am at the minute. This is our studio. Yeah. I'm not sure. I mean, I haven't ventured into Barnsley town for a while, so I'm not sure what it's like, but I think it still thrives. And like in Sheffield as well, it seems to be growing again. But I think rock music in general is growing again. It seems to be sort of forcing its way into the charts again. So
yeah, bit by bit, you know, we're all trying to do our bit, aren't we?
Yeah. I mean, there's people like Bringley that are doing shows with Ed Sheeran and all that sort of stuff. It can only be good for rock music. I mean, people sort of have a go and stuff, but I don't really get why, because it's good. It gets people who might not have listened to rock music listening to rock music, and then they might discover something else. So I'm all for it.
Absolutely. I mean, it's like the kid walking down the street in the Iron Maiden shirt. Do you have to know 3 songs by Iron Maiden to qualify to wear a shirt? No, of course you don't.
No, just give them a chance. Just give them a little listen.
Yeah,
and spread the word.
That's it. I mean, if a guy goes into Primark and says, I like the design of that T-shirt, and buys it, then wakes up to, actually, hold on, this is a band. So it's the same thing, isn't it? Collaborating with Ed Sheeran. It just brings a wider perspective to the whole thing.
Exactly. It opens people's eyes to that world. And the more people whose eyes are open to the world of rock and metal and all that sort of stuff, the better, because then the whole genre is going to thrive.
Exactly. Rather than be marginalized, like, you know, it has been for the last, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 years.
Yeah, definitely. Can only be a good thing.
It's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you. We'll let you get back to your rehearsals. Best of luck for the weekend gig. And see you very soon, mate.
Thanks very much. Peace.
Cheers, guys. Cheers, buddy. All right.